Yo, what is going on, everyone? My name is Nick, or the Notorious Fantasy, and in today's video, I bring you guys Week 17 waiver wire ads for fantasy football in 2020. Inside this video, we are going to be discussing my top waiver wire ads at running back, wide receiver, as well as tight end, so that you guys can make sure that you secure your 2020 fantasy football championship. Now, I assume maybe some people will be here. They already won their championship in week number 16. They're just chilling out with me because they love me. That's the hope, at least. I hope that you guys do end up enjoying this video. And if you do and you're new, please make sure that you hit that subscribe button down below. Not only is it free, I put out content every single day to help you guys win that 2020 fantasy football championship. And real quick, before we get balls deep into this one, I'd like to give you guys a quick word from my friends and my sponsor over at OverlayDFS.com. OverlayDFS.com is the best place to play daily fantasy sports on the whole World Wide Web. Now, there's two options on their website. You got the progressive tournaments, which I talked about in last week's videos. In this week's videos, we're going to be talking about the match-up shop on OverlayDFS.com. What is that? It is so simple. You pick between two players, plus or minus the spread. Who's going to score more fantasy points on Sunday Night Football? Was it Jarvis Landry minus 3.5 or Rashad Higgins plus 3.5? The answer was Jarvis Landry minus 3.5. Who scores more fantasy points? Baker Mayfield minus 2.5 or Nick Chubb plus 2.5? The answer was Baker Mayfield. It is so simple. Anyone can do it. You guys do so much research to win your matchups every single week. Why not get some nice cashola on the upside here? Win these games on OverlayDFS.com. It is so simple. I don't think the upside made sense there, but what does make sense is winning money. It's easy. OverlayDFS.com, link down below in the description. And we are back. Let's get into it. Week 17 waiver wire ads. We begin with the running back position, starting with A.J. Dillon, running back of the Green Bay Packers. Now, these points that are on your screen are in PPR format. If you're in half PPR, obviously it's going to be slightly lower. If you're in PPR or in standard, it's going to be slightly lower as well. But with A.J. Dillon, a guy only caught one ball and one target for 5 yards, it's not going to be substantially different. With some other players, it obviously will be. In this game up against the Tennessee Titans, A.J. Dillon in the snow touted the rock 21 times for 124 yards, 2 tugs in that matchup for 25.9 PPR points. Now, I'm not necessarily saying that A.J. Dillon's going to take over this fucking backfield for the future, and Aaron Jones is going to be minced meat. I don't think that's going to happen at all. But what I do think in this matchup in Week 17, where you don't want to get your big stud Aaron Jones hurt, you play A.J. Dillon a lot more. And up against these Chi-Town Bears, this is a very juicy matchup for A.J. Dillon. Not really because of the defense that he's playing up against, because the Bears' defense is just about all right and above average defense, but because of the amount of volume that I think that A.J. Dillon could see in this matchup up against the Chi-Town Bears. Next matchup and player here, we got Gus Edwards, running back of the Baltimore Ravens at the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, we are going to get a little bit smaller on the screen just so I can fit everything onto the screen, so I do apologize if you wanted to see my beautiful face on your screen. I'm sure you didn't, so it's okay. Gus Edwards, the Gus Bus at the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, it appears that the Ravens have said, get the fuck out of here to Mark Ingram, and this is a double-headed backfield. It used to be the trifecta, the menage a trois. Now, it is just the dual-headed backfield scenario. Week 16 versus the New York Football Giants. Edwards touted the rock 15 times for 85 yards, 2 receptions on 2 targets for 37 yards, as well as 14.2 PPR points in that matchup. Now, Gus Edwards is obviously not the head honcho back, in my opinion. It seems as though J.K. Dobbins is that guy, but Gus Edwards' production has been very safe. 10.1 points in Week 13, Week 14 up against Cleveland, 18.3, Week 15 against Jacksonville, 9.8, and last week, 14.2. So he's a guy you can heavily rely on being very safe. And up against the Cincinnati Bengals, while they have looked tough as of recently, you can definitely run a train on them with Gus Bus and J.K. Dobbins. Next running back here, we got Darrell Williams, running back of the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Los Angeles Chargers. Now, we were all duped, hoodwinked, and all those type of adjectives to describe anger and complete bamboozlement. Everyone in their right mind thought this was going to be the Le'Veon Bell week last week up against the Atlanta Falcons. The Atlanta Falcons run defense sucks cock. Le'Veon Bell is going to slap the ever-living shit out of them. And you know what happened? Darrell Williams showed up to town, and he moseyed on in there and was playing very strong in that game. 10 carries for 46 yards, as well as 4 receptions on 6 targets for 27 yards and 11.3 PPR points. Now, I'm not saying this guy is necessarily going to get 7 zillion touches, but just getting 10 touches against the Los Angeles Chargers will likely give him the same output as it did up against the Atlanta Falcons. And as a guy that is going to be able to get the dump-off balls thrown his way, Darrell Williams should really have a significant impact in this game up against the Los Angeles Chargers, especially since Patrick Mahomes is likely going to be sitting in this matchup. You would think that there would be more dump-offs going this way. And then with the other wide receiver options, like a guy like Hill, I highly doubt he plays the majority of this game. Guy like Travis Kelce, I highly doubt that as well. Le'Veon Bell may even get told to sit down because he's the true number 2 back on this team. I think that Darrell Williams could really have a hefty part of winning your 2020 Fantasy Football Championship if you can pick him up and at him this week. Next running back here, we're getting a little bit deeper, a bit more mucky back here with LaMichael P. Ryan. You LaMike that, running back of the New York Football Jets at the New England Deflatriots. Now, LaMichael P. Ryan has been a guy on this waiver wire show multiple times. After his Week 7 performance up against the Buffalo Bills, where he scored 13.6 PPR points and Frank Gore went down, it seemed like it was going to be a beautiful sight in fantasy football, and then he kind of just starts shitting the bed after that, and then he gets hurt, and now he is back. Now, Frank Gore did end up getting hurt, and it doesn't seem like he is going to end up returning for the final game of this season, so that opens a door wide open for LaMichael P. Ryan. The Patriots' run defense sucks complete cock. We saw the Buffalo Bills play very strong up against them last night, and even if the Jets' offense is nowhere near the Buffalo Bills, which I know, I don't have a fucking hole in my head, but I think LaMichael P. Ryan will be useful in this game up against the New England Patriots if you need an additional running back, or if you're just trying to block your opponent from snagging another running back, which is something that I like to do in my championship games. Try to load up on the defenses, load up on the kickers. If this guy's looking for a kicker, fuck it. I'll pick up 3. I don't give a shit. If this guy needs a running back, I'm going to try to get as many running backs as possible to block this man or woman from winning their 2020 Fantasy Football Championship. Next guy, another P. Ryan, his cousin, Samaje P. Ryan, running back of the Cincinnati Bengals versus the Baltimore Ravens. Now, for some reason, the stars shine down on Samaje P. Ryan on Sunday up against the Houston Texans. The Houston Texans got mollywopped by Brandon fucking Allen. 13 touches for Samaje P. Ryan, 95 yards for 2 tugs, 4 receptions on 4 targets, 4 for 4 like his ass was at Wendy's, 41 receiving yards, 25.6 PPR points. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Even if Giovanni Bernard performs pretty decently, Samaje P. Ryan still eats like Ezekiel Elliott at Thanksgiving dinner. Now, this might be the most wild call of them all at running back, because it's 50-50 if this guy even is going to be getting a majority of touches, but based on what I saw last week, I think Zach Taylor gets Samaje P. Ryan involved in the final matchup to play spoiler to the Baltimore Ravens. Next game, our next player here, we got Nelson Agholor of the wide receiver position. Speaking of positions, Nelson Agholor almost put the Miami Dolphins in the doggy-style position, railing them out of that game, but the Dolphins did end up winning. Shout out to my boy Dan Marino in the background. Go Dolphins. Now, the receiver part of the video, again, if you guys have ended up enjoying, I try not to pest you guys and just fucking hit that subscribe button and start yelling at you guys, but I would really appreciate if you're new to please do that, and if you're not new, please make sure that you hit that like button down below. Nelson Agholor, wide receiver of the Las Vegas Raiders at the Denver Broncos. Now, Nelson Agholor went from the Philadelphia Eagles, where this guy couldn't catch a fucking cold. This guy would have been literally immune to the coronavirus if he was in Philadelphia. But here, this man is catching everything, and he's played every single game this year, I believe, except for week 6. So the man hasn't even caught corona. But this guy has glue for fucking hands for some reason now in Las Vegas this week up against their Denver Broncos. This one can get ugly. The Denver Broncos defense looks like it's going to get down on its knees and take all of Derek Carr's load all over this guy's face, even if the Raiders don't end up making the playoffs, because the Dolphins smacked them in the ass. Last week, up against the Miami Dolphins, 5 receptions on 6 targets for 155 yards, 1 total tutty in that matchup for 26.5 PPR points. Nelson Agholor has that big play potential. We've seen him 26 points in Week 16. Week 14 up against the Indianapolis Colts, 21 points. Against the Chiefs, Week 11, 20 points. Up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, week 7, 21 points. And he's been pretty decent otherwise, so even if he shits the bed, he's typically not going to put up a goose egg or like 2 or 3 points. He'll probably end up getting like 8 or 9 if he ends up not playing too well. So the upside here up against the Denver Broncos is tremendous for Mr. Nelson Agholor. Next receiver here, we got Zach Pascal, wide receiver of the Indianapolis Colts, going up against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, for some reason, T.Y. Hilton went from being the big man on campus, finally turning his season after a whole start of the season of embarrassment. Embarrassment, like you walk out of the bathroom and there's still some fucking TP stuck to your shoe. Up against the Pittsburgh Steelers, 3 receptions on 6 targets for 64 receiving yards and 1 total touchdown for 15.4 PPR points. The week before, he had 2 tugs, so 3 tugs in 2 weeks. Sounds like Robert Kraft, but just a little bit less, because Robert Kraft be getting those tugs all the time in those massage parlors. Zach Pascal up against the Jacksonville Jaguars. This screams a good matchup. Now, the funniest thing, though, is I think the Indianapolis Colts are going to lose this game. This is the first game they lost this season, was to the Jaguars, and then they get on a run. But you know what happens to Phillip Rivers? This guy is the king of the choke. Borat, king of the castle? Phillip Rivers is king of the choke. Now, I'm not saying he chokes his wife while he rails her to make all those 12,000 kids 50 Shades of Grey style, but he chokes on the football games. This guy can't catch a break. The only thing that happens to him is his eyes do some mental gymnastics, and he sees the wrong fucking colored jersey and throws it to him. It's hilarious. It is absolutely hilarious how Rivers is the king of the choke in the clutch. But even in the choke up against the Pittsburgh Steelers, Zach Pascal still dominated, so I like him again this week up against the Jacksonville Jaguars, even though I think the Colts will probably end up winning this game. I was kind of lying a little bit about the Jaguars beating them. Next game here, and player here, we got Michael Gallup of the Dallas Cowboys at the New York Football Giants. Now, if I'm being honest with you, we've got a bit deep down because I don't really trust Michael Gallup. He seems very boomer bust thus far this season without Dakota Prescott under center, and it being Andy Dalton, especially with that addition of CeeDee Lamb in the draft. It has really hurt Michael Gallup's stocks this season, but at the end of the day, Gallup has still been performing up against the Philadelphia Eagles. This man had 6 receptions on 8 targets for 121 yards, 2 tugs, and 30.1 PPR points. Now, he's going up against the Giants, who have one good corner. The good corner is going to be covering Amari Cooper. He's not going to be covering Michael Gallup, which boosts up Michael Gallup's potential to play very good in this game. And for some reason, not for some reason, I mean, let's be honest, this guy was kind of pathetic this season after a very strong season last year. He's available in a decent amount of leagues, so if you can snag Michael Gallup, I like him this week up against the Giants. Next guy here, we got Jalen Guyton, wide receiver of the Chargers, at the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, it would not surprise me at all if Keenan Allen ended up missing this matchup, because why the fuck would you risk Keenan Allen on a stupid game like this? It would make no sense. Week 16 up against Denver, he had 3 receptions on 5 targets for 43 receiving yards and 7.3 PPR points the week before without Keenan Allen, or with Keenan Allen kind of limited, 13.5 PPR points up against the Raiders. Now, Guyton as well as Ty Johnson are guys I'm going to be looking at this week. Depending on your league, one of them may be available. I'm not going to go super in-depth on Ty Johnson, but I believe his name is Tyron Johnson, is also a guy that I'd be looking at for the Los Angeles Chargers up against the Chiefs, who may be benching some of their defense. Next guy here, we got Sterling Shepard, wide receiver of the New York Football Giants, versus the Dallas Cowboys. Now, Sterling Shepard had an injury-riddled early on to his season, and that has been pretty decent thus far. And this week, up against the Dallas Cowboys, up against a bum-ass defense. But Nick, do you not remember what happened last week when Jalen Hurts played not so great and the Dallas Cowboys beat them down? Nick, are you dumb? You don't remember that? Well, overall in this season, the trajectory of the Dallas defense is that they're bad. They're not very good at all. Sterling Shepard, hawking the ball last week, 9 receptions, 12 targets, 77 yards, 1 tug, and 22.7 PPR points. So I'm going to believe in Sterling Shepard in my final matchup up against a very bad Cowboys defense. Now onto the tight end section of the video. So again, if you guys have ended up enjoying, please make sure that you hit that subscribe button down below. I'm going to make myself a little bit bigger here on the screen so you'd see my beautiful face before we get out of here. Irv Smith, tight end of the Minnesota Vikings this week at the Detroit Lions. He has been really on and off this season due to Kyle Rudolph's health, but it hasn't seemed to matter recently. Now going up against Detroit, a really soft defense who might get absolutely bitch slapped by the Vikings in this matchup. I think the Vikings may bend over the Lions without the use of any lube, so I really think Irv Smith could have a humongous big game here. Last week up against the Saints, 6 of 9 on Christmas. Very nice. Some sexy sex time on the Lord's Day. 2 tugs and 23.3 PPR points. Now, I'm not saying he's going to score 2 fucking touchdowns again. That may have been a Christmas miracle for Mr. Irv Smith, but at the end of the day, I think Irv Smith is going to be a very safe tight end this week up against a not-so-hot Lions defense. And final tight end of the video, we have Irv Smith, and I'm going to have to shrink myself down a little bit. Actually, I'm just going to throw myself to the top. With that said, Jimmy Graham, you went from being the guy in Chicago to kind of simmering back, right? We're really kind of fading away Jimmy Graham the last couple of weeks due to Cole Kmet's kind of resurgence as not even a resurgence because he's a rookie, but his becoming of a great fantasy tight end. But Jimmy Graham's still scoring. He's still scoring tugs, so you have to believe in him this week up against the Green Bay Packers in what we could dub as a revenge game. Jimmy Graham here up against Green Bay, maybe not starting some of their starters. This could be a juicy game for Jimmy Graham and kissing titties. Mitchell Trubisky up against the Jaguars last week, 4 receptions on 5 targets for 69 yards. Very nice. 2 tugs. 22.9 PPR points. Now, let me get this straight. Did both of these motherfuckers get... Oh, no, never mind. I thought he went 69 yards as well, but he went 6 for 9. And Jimmy Graham went for 69 yards. So very nice on both of these tight end ads of the week, which makes me like them even more. With that said, this matchup and this revenge game up against the Green Bay Packers, if you're really down bad at the tight end position, could be juicy for you to win your championships. Thank you guys all so much for watching this video. If you did end up enjoying, please make sure that you hit that subscribe button down below. I love each and every single one of you motherfuckers. Make sure you have a great rest of your guys' day. We're getting close to the new year. I love you all. Have a great rest of your guys' day. OverlayDFS.com. And as always, good boy.